Good morning, people. Today I'll be sharing you some brief insights about Bitcoin. I can't believe a couple of friends still doesn't know about this after I started my channel. Well, this I believe is the future of money. Like and subscribe if you haven't done so, and I'll be right back in a flash. Sugda na to. I've compiled a couple of clips para madugangan inyong kalaman. So just sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride.
Bitcoin is a cryptocurrency, the first and the most famous, kind of like George Washington of the crypto world. Bitcoin first surfaced in 2009. Remember 2008? The economy was in shambles. The banking system collapsed. Millions of people went broke. Government swore blindly that once the economy was back on its feet, the banks would pay everyone back. Well, not much of a surprise, that didn't happen at all. These tumultuous events became an inspiration to one man or a group of people who we now know as Satoshi Nakamoto. They invented a currency that could cut out banks and government, making them obsolete. It was named Bitcoin. And for the system to be transparent and fair, those very smart people made it so that absolutely all transactions, stop, one more time, this is important, all transactions are stored on one big single digital ledger. This ledger was named the blockchain. Bitcoin is like digital gold. Its maximum amount of 21 million coins is limited by a mathematical formula. We say coins, but it's just a word to describe a digital entity. There's no physical coin. Bitcoins are mined by performing very complex mathematical calculations on computers. Bitcoin is not under the control of banks or governments. It's maintained by the crypto community. The community consists of people who mine new Bitcoins. Hence, they're miners, almost like their ancestors who had to dig ditches in search of gold or coal. Modern miners dig complex equations and formulas. Not long ago, you could use your PC to mine. Nowadays, people build giant factories and stuff them with server farms. The same miners do transaction confirmations. For your digital money to officially go to someone else's account, you have to receive 6 confirmations from other miners. So there's absolutely no chance of fraud. Miners are like little gnomes who quietly make their fortunes while looking after the whole system. Bitcoins are passed from person to person without any involvement from banks, brokers, a processing center, or even Kim Jong-un himself, or Vladimir Putin. It means transaction fees are low. You can use your Bitcoins in any country and there's nothing anybody can do about it. And it's all completely anonymous. No link between your cryptocurrency account or wallet and your name. To become a happy owner of Bitcoins, you don't really have to mine it. Just buy it in a cryptocurrency exchange, or from someone who has some to sell, or even earn it by providing some sort of services. Okay, let's be frank. Since Bitcoin took off the way it did, enthusiasts launch new cryptocurrencies every day. Most of them are much more advanced and convenient than their progenitor. There was a concern that major players and investors may lose faith in Bitcoin, but now there's so many brilliant mathematicians, programmers, and financial experts hard at work improving Bitcoin and all the other cryptocurrencies, it's reasonable to believe that the next big breakthrough will most likely happen in conjunction with current technology.
Interesting, right? Karon, let's hear it from what most influential people has to say.
Where do you think Bitcoin and crypto is right now?
It's still very early. Institutions, everybody knows about it, everyone's heard about it, and there's some very sophisticated people in even these banks who know about cryptocurrency, but they're still not really in the game yet. It's still very much a retail-driven market, very much a lot of the actions out in Asia. So we still think it's the bottom of the first inning. If you read this book, you understand how we got here and how far it's come, but it's also just sort of the beginning in a lot of ways. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the price peaked about 18 months ago, about 20,000,
It went down to about 3,000. It's recovered to about 12,000, but we're still far off that peak. But so much has happened. Gemini, we have about 230 employees today. Almost everybody's from financial services or Google, Airbnb, big name companies that you use that are part of your everyday life. And these folks have all decided they need to be in crypto. And they weren't in crypto 2 or 3 years ago. When we started Gemini 5 years ago, it was a core team of 10 people, and these were like really early people. But today, people are moving into this space at a rapid rate. And so when I look around our office at the intellectual capital and these smart, brilliant people working in crypto, I talked to somebody who's a senior at Dartmouth. She grew up on my road earlier today, and she's trying to figure out where she wants to go, and she's like a computer engineer, she's at Dartmouth. She's probably gonna come into crypto or somewhere around it. So all these young, brilliant people are moving into the space, which is super exciting. So we made a lot of progress, but there's still a lot to go. And I think if we were to look back to the dot-com era, maybe we're post-2000, boom and bust, maybe we're in 2001, and Facebook launches, within 2 or 3 years of that. Amazon's still a small company, relatively speaking. But what's so exciting about this revolution, as opposed to the internet revolution, is back then there might have been 100 million homes in America with, broadband connections. Today, everybody in this room has a more powerful computer in their pocket.
Right.
They've got faster internet connections anywhere they walk in this city, even in the subway. So they're all onboarded and ready to basically be part of this. There's nothing stopping them from buying a piece of Bitcoin in that future. But in the late 90s, pre-Amazon IPO stock, you had to be an angel investor in the Valley, and that club might have been 50 people or something, or in one of those funds on Sand Hill Road that invested in one of those rounds. And by the time Amazon got to the street, that's when retail, the little guys, could get into it. And it still would have been a good investment, but you don't have to wait for an IPO. Bitcoin IPO'd 10 years ago. It's sitting out in the open, right. And it's just a matter of whether you want to make that decision, and if you decide that this is the software version of gold. And if you agree with that thesis, then why wait?
Here's what Thiel told me about the cryptocurrency's potential when I sat down with him back in October in Riyadh.
Well, I'm skeptical of most of them. I do think people are a little bit maybe underestimating Bitcoin specifically, because it's like a reserve form of money. It's like gold, and it's just a store of value. You don't actually need to use it to make payments. And if Bitcoin ends up being the cyber equivalent of gold, it has a great potential left. So it's a very different kind of thing from what people in Silicon Valley normally focus on. Companies, not algorithms or protocols. But this may be one exception that's very underestimated.
The need to move money from place to place, the cost of doing so, the overhead, as you put it, makes me think, believe it or not, of Bitcoin, because some people have said, hey, Bitcoin is the answer to those problems. Are you a believer?
Well, Bitcoin is exciting because it shows how cheap it can be. Bitcoin is better than currency in that you don't have to be physically in the same place. And of course, for large transactions, currency can get pretty inconvenient. The customers we're talking about aren't trying to be anonymous. They're willing to be known. So the Bitcoin technology is key, and you could add to it, or you could build a similar technology where there's enough attribution that people feel comfortable. This has nothing to do with terrorism or any type of money laundering.
If you're a true adventurer and you really want to throw the Hail Mary, you might take 10% and put it in Bitcoin or Ethereum. But if you do that, you've got to pretend you've already lost your money. And it's like collecting art, it's like collecting baseball cards, it's like collecting shoes. Something's worth what somebody else will pay for it. It's a flyer, but I'd limit it to 10%.
With Bitcoin is that there's 3 kinds of money. There's God's money, which is gold and silver, again, atomic number 79 and 47. Then there's government money called fiat money or currencies, which is the dollar, the euro, the yen, the peso. And the third type of money now is cyber money, which Bitcoin and Ethereum and those guys are the most famous. So when I'm writing this book called Fake, and it'll be online soon, it's really about what's real. You know, is money fake or is it real? And I think, so the choice, when I talk to people, I said, what do you think will be here in 2040, approximately 22 years from now? Will gold still be here? Well, it's been here since eternity.
Well,
will the dollar be here?
Right.
I don't think so. And will blockchain be here? I think so. So that's really the way I look at the world of money and currencies, is what's going to be here in 22 years.
Okay, so muna ilang mga pananaw o opinion about Bitcoin aning mga big players. Now let me show you the evolution of money. First we have trading or barter of goods. Then came gold, followed by metal coins, paper money, plastic card, muna ni diri ang mga credit cards. Then electronic money like PayPal. Then if daghan na mo gamit jud ani, cryptocurrency will be the next in line. Ang current price sa Bitcoin at the time na posting video was $9,023. And hapit na pud mahitabo ang Bitcoin halving. That's in about 6 days. Meaning, ma-divide na pod in half ang reward na madawat sa every successful Bitcoin miner. And usually during ani nga time na ay significant changes sa price sa Bitcoin. Like from the previous halving. Kita mo sa price change of Bitcoin before and after the halving? Will history repeat itself? Will you start gathering some Bitcoins while it is still undervalued? I leave it up to you to decide. Well, that's it for my video today. I hope na mo at least nakatunan. Gamay. And as always, stay safe.